we have made it over to the Xbox 360. I don't really have many childhood memories with this console, especially not ones that involve a lot of playing a variety of games, right? But my 360 collection is large. It is a huge selection of games I have for this. Not as large as maybe something like my PS2 collection, as you can clearly see, but it is a lot, right? And I want to go through it. There's a whole variety of different games for here. We got some Connect games, some demo disc games. So without further ado, let's jump into it. I'm going to start with a couple of these demo disc games here. I think all these discs have like a variety of different games on them. I got these for about, really cheap price, nearly $2 each. And I've always just been interested in the concept of instead of downloading your demos from an online store, because a lot of the online stores are either in their infancy or they didn't exist at the time, since you can play some original Xbox games through here. It's just kind of really nice to look at how they handled demoing games, because I used to always think, like, did you just play a demo at a store? Like, not every single store had a demo for every single game. But of course, not every game nowadays has a demo, but like it's much easier for a publisher to make a demo of a game because all people have to do is just download the demo. It's a really weird thing. But overall, I really am fond of some of these demo discs. Just to name a couple that I got the Tomb Raider one, Rock Band one, which like a couple songs on them, Def Jam Icon, Sonic Unleashed, and Quake 4. But let's jump into the actual games, because there's a lot more to talk about with that. First up, I've got Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed. Now, I like Sonic and All Stars Racing. I like Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed, this specific version of the game. Not specific version of the game, more so the specific entry in the franchise. But the 360 version I've not played. I've played it on PC. I've played it on, I think it came out for Wii U. And I've played it through there, right? And one thing I want to say is that I think that the Sonic racing games are really good. More so the Sega and All Stars ones. I haven't played Sonic Drift, Sonic R, if you can count that one. Even Team Sonic Racing, so the recent ones I haven't played. I really want to play Cross Worlds eventually, but my thing has always been that I see these type of games on sale all the time, that I don't really think there's any point to paying $70 for Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. But if people want to let me know that Cross Worlds is worth the full 70 bones, you can just let me know in the comments below. And so I've got Dragon Ball Raging Blast. A couple of these games are the most recent pickups, so my 360 collection was updated about maybe like a few months ago, I think. But Dragon Ball Raging Blast. This game, growing up, I was always interested in it because this was around the time where the only new Dragon Ball content we were getting were new games, up until Dragon Ball Son Goku and his friends return, or whatever that like Japanese special. But Dragon Ball Raging Blast was something that interested me because I was a huge fan of Dragon Ball. I was a huge fan of Dragon Ball games. Every single new Dragon Ball game that came out had my interest because I was a kid interested in like those two things. So I was like, all right, like let's jump into it, let's get to it. But I never got Dragon Ball Raging Blast when I was younger, so getting a chance to actually get it now was a blessing. So, and I'm really excited to eventually jump into this, even though I heard that it's not that good. And a lot of the Dragon Ball fighting games are C mediocre average to like kind of a little below average D, but um, only I can truly make that judgment. Next up, I've got Lollipop Chainsaw. Now, this is one of the more popular games of this era generation. Definitely one more of those cult classics at this point, in terms of how much time has passed since, like, you know, I forget the girl's name or whatever, since she was relevant. But Lollipop Chainsaw is a game that uh, interested me in the sense of I wanted to know about it, or like know, how it played, since this is such a popular game for people who are fans of seventh generation. I think it's the seventh generation console gaming. So I had to get this, and yeah, I heard it's also a short game too. So hopefully I'm able to jump into it and see how it is. Next up, I've got Wet. This case is anything but wet. Wet is a game that I was at the store, and or at the game store I work at, and we were demoing it on the TV, and I was like, this game actually looks pretty good. And then it came into the store eventually, and so I was just sitting there like, wow, I think I want this actually. So it's actually fairly expensive. So around like that $44, $45 range, at least when I got it. Um, so I was like, you know what? I think this might be worth it. The Metacritic scores aren't amazing. I think it's hovering at like a 73. But hey, sometimes you got to go out there, give it out on a limb. And that's just one thing about gaming too, because in this era, IGN and going on the internet to find game reviews, that was a huge thing. Game reviewers were becoming a huge thing in this generation of gaming. But I feel like there was still that bit of consumers where they were like, you know what, this game looks cool. Let me get this game, right? That's why I feel like so many people, when they're trading in games from this era, it's often games where I remember personally like being like, oh yeah, this game was cool. Like I remember people thinking this game was pretty cool. But obviously it didn't really turn out that way. I hope Wet is not a case and example of that. So, but only I can really say. Tales of Vesperia. So if you can just look right here, you'll see an only on Xbox 360 print stamp. And that is what interests me the most about this game. A Tales game, an RPG being exclusive to the 360, is just so intriguing because it feels like the 360's audience doesn't really care that much for RPGs, or an Xbox audience doesn't really care that much for RPGs. And you can see that now with how Final Fantasy VII Remake is doing on Xbox. But I'm not here to start any wars on that. But a Tales game exclusive for 360 is truly just interesting. I played a little bit of Tales of Symphonia. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to, mostly because I like having control of every single member of my party. I think that's one thing that I'm starting to like come to terms with as like a non-negotiable. The thing with me when I play video games is that sometimes I'm like, you know what? Maybe I just got to get used to it because there are so many games where like I wasn't in love with them at first, but I was like, oh, like I enjoy this aspect of the game, and then eventually as I play it more and more, I'm like, okay, I love this game. Like, so I was hoping maybe I was kind of going to run into that, but I didn't really. I want to give it a little bit more time because again, I gave it about like 2 hours, let it do his intro cutscene, face the first boss, etc. But then eventually I was like, I don't know. But I do want to eventually get to this because I hope that may not be a staple of the Tales series. The Tales series is still going strong to this day. So there has to be maybe something that I'd enjoy out of it if it's evolving as a franchise, but maybe that's not happening. So we'll see. Next up, I've got Skyrim. Now, I own about like 8 different versions of Skyrim because there's a really funny video, and hopefully I put it in the video here. But this guy, he's dropping Skyrim copy after Skyrim copy, and I think it's like that one clip from like it's like a WWE match. I don't watch wrestling, but he's like, I drank a beer, 3 beers, 4 beers, 5 beers, 6 beers, 7 beers, 8 beers, 9 beers, and a Bloody Mary. It's just Skyrim copies over and over again across like a variety of different platforms. And I was like, this joke is so funny. I genuinely was like, this is hilarious. This joke is so funny. I think I want to recreate it in real life. And I did. So now I have like 6, 7 copies of Skyrim that I don't know what to do with. So because I've already played through Skyrim and I'm like, this is okay. But now I've got them. But I think it's just kind of funny because if anyone were to ask me about Skyrim and hey man, like, is it cool if I borrow some Skyrim from you? Some Skyrim. I'll be like, sure, man. Which console? Which edition? Legendary? I'm trying to get like Skyrim maybe VR for like the PSVR or something. I don't know. I'm trying to make my way through the Skyrim gauntlet. But all that to say, we've got Skyrim. Next up, I've got Perfect Dark Zero. Now, I love steelbooks. I'm a complete nerd for steelbooks. I fold at the thought of steelbooks. And the Perfect Dark Zero steelbook looks really good. Looks really nice. Actually, let's see that one more time. Ooh, okay. And like some really good, just like printing on the gun. Just really dope. But people say this game's not good. I play the original Perfect Dark. I love the original Perfect Dark. It is awesome. It's incredible. I have not played through Zero yet, primarily because people have told me this kind of sucks. But I really want to give it a try because I think it's kind of interesting how when Xbox bought Rare, they were like, okay, like we still want to continue a lot of these like big hitter legacy franchises, like your Perfect Dark, your Banjo Kazooie. So we're gonna give you guys another chance to go at it, right? But Perfect Dark Zero flopped, and now like there's no more Perfect Dark because Microsoft decided to cancel the Perfect Dark reboot. So, but they're winning though, I think. So I think they're winning. Minecraft story mode. Now, I remember not really liking the idea of Minecraft story mode when it first came out, but I was like a kid, of course, when this thing hopped onto the scene. And I was just like, oh, well, Minecraft having a story mode is dumb. It kind of already has one. All you have to do is defeat the Ender Dragon and rah, rah, rah. So, and I was like, all right, well, and nowadays I'm like, it doesn't really matter to me. That's how I feel about a lot of kind of controversies in gaming sometimes, where it's like, I really don't care. I've lost kind of the capacity to. But Minecraft story mode is something I do want to give a shot. I like one Telltale game, but I've only been exposed to one, and it's the Walking Dead one. And I want to try out the Batman one, and this Minecraft story mode one being pretty dope is cool. There's like a Minecraft story mode game that is like, I think, localized just to the Switch, but like its copy is like 130 something dollars, which is insane to me because I don't get why anyone would ever pay that much for Minecraft story mode. I don't even think collectors be interested in that because even though a lot of collectors operate under the mindset of I want to buy this game because it's expensive, they don't really. Sometimes they have their limits. Is what I'm basically trying to say. So I know me personally, as someone who like is, as you can clearly see, not too picky with what they collect. I still operate under the baseline of am I literally interested in this at all? And if I'm not, then sorry, I'm not getting it. I don't care how rare it is. I don't care if it's the first time I see it in the wild. That does not matter to me in the slightest. So yeah, Minecraft story mode, but also we got Minecraft 360 edition. This is my favorite version of Minecraft. Period. Okay, I don't care what anyone says. Things about like Java, Bedrock, whatever. I still don't even know the difference between those things because when I played Minecraft, it was just like Minecraft. I knew like Java was obviously used like in some aspect of the game, like where it's so funny saying this because I'm a computer engineer, but I know that obviously Java was like a part of the original Minecraft. So, like when you say Java edition, like sometimes you're talking about like PC. I think Bedrock is like console, but like anyway, the 360 edition, because I have some really fun and awesome memories playing the 360 edition with my friends at sleepovers, 4 player split screen Minecraft. It is amazing. I was actually just talking to some friends recently, and apparently the 4 player split screen for the Switch version of Minecraft sucks because it doesn't run well at all. Which is I'm like, man, that sucks for people who are trying to emulate that experience or even just get a little bit of that experience in the big 2026. But most people play Minecraft probably like through online servers, so like I don't really think it matters, or like through Realms. I think that's what it's called. But the 360 edition is a representation of when Minecraft used to be simple, when it used to just be, oh my gosh, let's just hop on there, make a base, dig out a cave system, just get to cooking, man. Oh my gosh, I could. I love Minecraft in terms of what it used to mean for me when I was like a child, but like as of right now, like that ship has sailed. I don't really engage with Minecraft that much. Even like the occasional Minecraft phase, people have that like every 6 months. I get that like every like 2 years. Like it's just I my interest in Minecraft is just it wavers a lot, and as you can tell by how I'm speaking right now, it's at a low. So there's no interest right now. Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor. I had a friend who was really into this game, and now that I've actually seen Fellowship of the Ring, the first Lord of the Rings movie, I can say that I understand what this title means now. At first, I was like, oh, like this is. I was like, this is its own IP or something, but no, this is like a Lord of the Rings type thing. So, but I do want to play this eventually, especially because I am becoming so fantasy pilled. I'm fantasy maxing, and it's just I just got to get more fantasy up in my system. So Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor would be a great game to get that fixed through. So Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Now as someone who has played through 3 Metal Gear games at this point, 4. Wow, yeah, actually 4. Sorry, I almost forgot about 4. As someone who has played through 4 Metal Gear games at this point and who understands the themes of the story, just all the different highs. There's a lot of them. A couple of the lows. And when I look at Revengeance, right, as a kid who like grew up around the time where Revengeance memes were like super funny, like that's a nice argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with a source? And my source is that I made it up. Like just all that stuff here. I look at this and I'm like, especially after playing 4, I'm like, how does this genuinely happen? And I don't know anything about like Revengeance's actual story, so please, like, no spoilers or anything. But I am excited to get to it solely because I think it's going to be a very funny playthrough, and I think that it's going to at least be cool because everything I've seen of it is still cool. So even though I'm like, dog, like after 4, should this game even exist? Should it? Should it? Should it? Mass Effect 2. Okay, yeah, this 2. It's not 3. Mass Effect 2. Never was super into Mass Effect growing up, or like was never interested in Mass Effect growing up. So the thing with Mass Effect, right, is that um, I like the concept of, I guess, kind of like the choices you can make. I've already mentioned before that if a game has you make choices and they matter, oh geez, man, that's gonna, whew, that's a game right there. But I've just never really drawn myself to the Mass Effect franchise. And Connor from Quad 64, a podcast I listen to, he's a huge Mass Effect fan, and that has like kind of recontextualized my interest in Mass Effect a little bit, or like shuffled it around in the sense of, oh, okay, like I kind of want to get to this eventually, just so I can kind of understand where they're coming from. If someone I know is really interested in the game, especially if it's someone close to me, then it really like makes me go, all right, like this has gone up like 10 spaces in the line of priority in my head when it comes to gaming. So Mass Effect has kind of done that a little bit, and I'm excited to eventually get to the franchise, but I'm not going to say it's going to be anytime soon. So next up, I've got Lego Indiana Jones and Kung Fu Panda, the double pack. I think this came with a 360 bundle. So I think that's why this is kind of like this. But I've played the Kung Fu Panda game on the PS2. I don't know how it is on the PS3 slash 360 slash Wii slash that current gen of consoles. But if it's anything like the PS2 version, it's probably gas. The Lego Indiana Jones game, also have not played that. I have only played one Lego esque game, two kind of Lego Batman, but like one Lego esque game, um, Lego Star Wars, and I enjoyed that. But I was never like huge into Legos growing up, so like it's not like I saw Lego games and I was like, I want these. It's more so it was like, oh, okay, these things exist. So um, can't say I'm gonna touch that. So more so was for the concept of the dual disc thing or whatever. I think it's 2 discs in there actually. Yeah, I was right. There was 2 discs in there. But yeah, probably not gonna touch that. Gears of War 3, Gears of War 2, and Gears of War 1. I'm gonna go through all of these as a trilogy because I have no Gears of War experience. And actually, it's kind of funny. On the box of Gears of War 3, the only on Xbox 360 logo isn't there, even though I know Gears of War 3 is a 360 exclusive. But anyway, um, the Gears of War franchise has kind of always been seen as like the de facto number 2 behind Halo for Microsoft, right? It 100% is number 2. It's not a 1A, 1B type thing. It's not even close, honestly. But it is definitely held the like, hey, right after Halo, once you go like a couple more steps down, we're there. So I do want to eventually get to the Gears of War franchise, just because of that. So that's why I have all 3 of the games. I know they've remastered it a little bit. When Gears of War came to PS5, that was like a huge deal, big experience, and so that is something that I think is going to be dope to finally get to and understand why Gears of War is such a big part of not just like Microsoft's history with gaming, but also just gaming history as a whole. And I've got Fable 2 and Fable 3. Now, I spoke a little bit about Fable in my original Xbox video, so there's not much I really want to add here aside from the fact that I want to play it. Decision making games that I mentioned before, they really get me going. So I really want to hop into the Fable series eventually. Some people say 3 is a little underwhelming. I think that's the consensus. I don't really run in Fable circles, so don't hold me to that. But like people say, Fable 1 is phenomenal. People say Fable 2 is also kind of phenomenal. Like it's maybe might be a step below Fable. I think some people prefer Fable 2 over 1. And then Fable 3, I think some people say it could have ended a little better. But that honestly, I feel like that's that way with a lot of third video games. Whether or not it's like, okay, like the second game did this thing well, but the third game has like a little bit of bloat in terms of some of the things they're trying to achieve. And like it's the last game, so they're kind of being a little over ambitious, but like you're like, why are they being over ambitious if it's a third game? Because you could just kind of end up on a high note. But yeah, I don't know. So I feel that way kind of about Sly 3, but I like Sly 3 more than Sly 2. So that's kind of the first thing that came to my mind when I thought about that. But the Fable series, it definitely is still on the to-do list. All right, we're gonna run through some Connect games before we get back to the actually good stuff, I guess. Connect Adventures. Okay, that's kind of funny. Another copy of Skyrim, but this time it's with the Connect. So at first I was like, why is this with my Connect games? But then I remembered that it says it's better with Connect. And just the concept of Skyrim with Connect is funny to me because please, if someone has played this like with Connect, generally let me know how is Connect interfaced with this game. I'm genuinely curious. Like, is it like you swing the axe some type of way like you have or something, or like your sword? Like you got to hold your shield like this. Like, how is that happening? Please let me know. I'm mad curious, and I don't want to Google it. I want like genuine, like, all right, like here's how this thing was going on. This is what people thought about at the time. It sucked, or it was great. Who knows? So, Connectimals, Connect Sports, Dance Central 2, Dance Central, Motion Sports, Play for Real, Twister Mania, Sonic Free Riders. Okay, I'm gonna stop at this one. I actually do kind of want to play this one. That's because I love the Sonic Riders franchise, and from what people tell me, this killed the Riders franchise. And I want to see like how bad it is because when I was younger, so I actually have a story for this one. When I was younger, the Sonic Riders, when Free Riders came out, I was at my Sonic Riders peak. Right, I played Riders 1, I played Zero Gravity on my PS2, and I was like, these games are bangers. I already thought like snowboarding and like boarding as a whole was like really cool. So when you add Sonic characters to that, and then like you add like the whole zero gravity aesthetic where it's like, oh, like they're like hoverboarding everywhere, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is peak. So when Free Riders came out and the Connect was a thing, when I was younger, I saw it through the lens of a gimmick, where a lot of people saw gimmicks as like really cool. I was like, oh my gosh, the Connect is so awesome because like instead of using the Wiimote and having to hold something, I can just use my body as the controller. Honestly, it was phenomenal marketing. So we can look back at the Connect now and say it was bad, but when you look back at the Connect, actually, like when you look at the Connect in the context of like 2009 or 8 or whenever it came out, it low key was kind of gas, or a gas concept, is what I should say. But when Free Riders came out, I was like, I want a Connect and I want to play that. But I think I went over to a friend's house and they had Free Riders or they had a Connect in general, and I used the Connect and I was like, this thing kind of sucks. So I know Free Riders is not like a great game, but I really want to try it out. I have a Connect now, so I can try it out if I wanted to. It plays on Xbox One. That's cool, right? So who knows? Maybe an even better Connect will enhance this thing. So we'll see, man. We will see. Game Party in Motion. And the greatest game of all time, Rapala for the Connect. Now, Rapala in general, it's not it, man. Rapala for the Connect. Yeah, so I got these Connect games as part of a bundle. I wanted as I mentioned before, I kind of want my collection to be a little bit of like gaming history plus like what I'm interested in. I am interested in trying out the Connect, at least in like a trying out something that's bad kind of way. So I got these for like a bundle. I think all these were like $5. Then I got a Connect for like 30. So it's here. Am I going to try out all these games, review them, see them through? Maybe not. How far can you see through Rapala for the Connect? Right. Back to our regularly scheduled program, we have Dragon Ball Xenoverse. Now, Dragon Ball Xenoverse as a franchise, right? I think I might have talked about this during my Switch collection video, but that was so long ago that I think I might just give the whole spiel again. I love the Xenoverse franchise, right? And at the time of this recording, Xenoverse 3 was just like semi-confirmed, accidentally confirmed, because of that Project 1000 thing they did. Apparently, they renamed the playlist Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3, so sucks for that intern. But Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 was like such a good concept when it first came out, or like it was well received when it first came out, is what I should say, because people were like, whoa, this is pretty dope. You're helping Trunks out, solving all these different things about the past, cleaning stuff up, Time Patrol. That Time Patrol intro is like stuck in my head because every single time I'd hear the attention all warriors, and then I'd skip like as quickly as possible. But I think that's in 2. I don't know if that's in 1. But Xenoverse, when it first came on the scene, was cool. It was a really cool concept, and I'm glad that it's kind of like the one game that Bandai Namco, like a Dragon Ball game, Bandai Namco takes seriously in the sense that they're like, yeah, we're gonna keep giving this thing new content, new updates, etc. When Sparking Zero was about to come out, they were like, we're still chugging along, new Xenoverse 2 content. I got Xenoverse 2. Xenoverse 2 was out for a while at that point, but I got Xenoverse 2 for the Switch to get Fighters for the Switch. And then I got Fighters for the Switch, but I never played Fighters for the Switch. I always just played it on my PS4 because I was like, I treat this game like a sweat, so I'm going to play it on the actual hardware that I feel is best for it. Um, but I played a lot of Xenoverse 2 on Switch, and that was kind of like the first time I played Xenoverse really. So when I got Xenoverse 1, it was like okay, I'm going back now and like really experiencing this myself instead of just experiencing it through YouTube videos. So it was really interesting to experience Xenoverse 1 again for the first time. And now I've got a piece of this game that has been such a core part of my childhood in the collection, the Devil May Cry HD collection. Now, I like the concept of collections, especially in the sense of like I have all these games separately, but having it be in HD and also just like on one disc is like cool, right? I'm like, so this is something that I jumped on. I'm not sure this game was expensive. I don't really remember, but just having games as good as the DMC trilogy on one disc is nice. Diablo 3. Now, I think when Diablo 4 came out, I was like, I actually am quite interested in this game. I want to get it. But I never ended up getting it, and I never ended up playing it even secondhand. Diablo 3, same spiel in terms of never playing this, but owning it now, actually. So I do want to eventually try out the Diablo franchise solely because it has its fans, it has its hardcore fans, and that is something that I want to kind of understand. Not really bars. Uh, not really super excited to jump into this eventually, but I think it will happen. I think it will happen. That's a good way to phrase that. Darksiders 2. Now, the thing with Darksiders is that their development team was originally going to do a PSP game for the Sly Cooper franchise, but that ended up getting canceled and canned. But they have some really cool concept art. If you haven't seen it, I highly suggest you check it out. It's dope. But Darksiders 2 is the game they actually ended up making, or Darksiders in general is the game they actually ended up making. And I am actually genuinely excited to try Darksiders. I want to see kind of what this franchise that kind of died out during the Xbox One era. I think I don't know if there's a Darksiders 4, but 3 came out during that era. I kind of want to see like what its whole shtick was, and at least support a dev that I was like, you know what, you guys were about to make an entry in like one of my favorite franchises of all time, and then you guys made this, which is pretty popular. So who knows? Maybe like I'll try this out and I'll be like, they were gonna cook, and then they cooked something else instead, and it still tasted pretty good. So I am excited to eventually try out Darksiders. And before I move forward, I do have Darksiders 1. So first I've got Dead Space 2. Now I think I have Dead Space 1, the remake for the PS5. So I have Dead Space 2. The thing with Dead Space as a whole is that I didn't really care that much for it. When I got Dead Space 1's remake for the PS5, it was mad cheap. So I was like, oh, okay, like this is a game that I heard is pretty good. It's insanely cheap. Purchase, right? Come on now. Let's not act like I'm alone here. That is just the gamer mindset mentality. So when I saw Dead Space 2 out, I was like, well, I already have the first one. So let me just go ahead and chug along with that. I stopped collecting before I could get to Dead Space 3. So Dead Space 1 and 2 are the only ones I got. But I have a friend, shout Sam, and he was like, yo, the Dead Space games are pretty good. And I was like, so I was like, let me just hop on, Dead Space eventually. And so it's again moved up that priority list, but I have not gotten to it yet. There's just so many things to play, man, and I feel like I'm gonna be like a broken record, justifying myself over and 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 over. Catherine, now this I am going to try. So I'm going to try this probably this year. It's on my list, so it's not something I'm going to be like, oh, like probably if I have the time for it. It generally is when I'm like I'm in the mood to play something new. I look at my list and I'm like, oh, okay, here's all the things that past me told future me, hey, when you're in the mood to play a game, make sure it's one of something from this list, just because I know you. Catherine is on here. And so I'm excited to eventually get this really nice, like kind of almost like puzzle game, I think. But it has a really nice premise. It's made by Atlas. One of the best characters in Metaphor is named in memory of this game because I think Atlas is like B team or like side team, like Project Zero, I think is their name, or Studio Zero. They made this game, and so like they kind of paid tribute to the game by naming one of their characters in there after the title. But overall, I do want to get to Catherine, and I'm excited to eventually get to Catherine because it's a short romp, and I'm excited to move past it and be like, hey, this thing's good. And plus, I have a friend who really likes this game a lot, so it's also inspired me to check it out even more. So, Call of Duty Black Ops. So when you were younger, right? Or I say you, or I should more so say me, because I don't really know the age of the viewer. But when I was younger, right, you could not escape Call of Duty, man. It was bad. And at first, being like a like 10, 11-year old who only like owned Nintendo systems, I used to always be like, oh, I mean, why is everyone playing these games? They're rated M for mature. I'm not 17 yet. So I was like, so I literally was just like, oh, well, I mean, like, but eventually when I went over to a friend's house and we played like I think like some split screen like Call of Duty, I think it might have been Black Ops, it was something, and I was like, wow, these are pretty fun, right? And I used to watch like all those like Black Ops like lobby videos where people would do like the Peter Griffin voice and all these different voices from different cartoons like the Hank Hill, Quagmire, like you already know what I'm talking about. All right, if you're my age, which is that older Gen Z, you know what I'm talking about. And so I had to get the Call of Duty games when I was making out my 360 library, solely because at least the story mode and like maybe even like some like the offline stuff. Like I think Zombies is an offline mode. Maybe I don't know. I definitely wanted to try out and be like, hey, this is what that was about, right? Um, so yeah, that's kind of my experience with Call of Duty. It's nothing like too extensive, nothing that like I can really point to any specific memories, but man, being younger around this time during the 360 era, you could not escape Call of Duty if you tried. And it sucked having just Nintendo systems because you used to be like, oh, like if only Call of Duty could come to these systems, man. I think Ghost came to like the Wii U, but like that was like it. And like no Call of Duty came to like the Switch. For some reason, like Call of Duty is just allergic to like Nintendo platforms. I think they were on the GameCube, and they were on the Wii as well because they couldn't not be on the Wii. But it is, yeah, man. Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty, and now they're still huge, insanely huge. But like they've started to be dethroned by a couple things. Like I'm surprised Battlefield One outsold Call of Duty last year. Last year being 2025 at the time of this video, but times are changing. And I've got Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. This is kind of the first game where I was like, okay, like now I'm becoming a little bit more mature as a gamer in the sense of I'm becoming interested in stuff that's not just Nintendo. So this was the Call of Duty that released around that time. That's always the one thing I'll remember it for. But I've not played this game, and some people have said that it's one of the more weaker Call of Duties. But I remember this game being on my wish list a lot because I was like, oh, like I'm definitely getting a Call of Duty this time, and it just did not happen. Borderlands. Now, I've never really been particularly interested in Borderlands, but Borderlands is one of the most famous gaming franchises of all time. So I had to cop it because I do want to eventually try it, just so I can say I have tried Borderlands, even though I'm probably not going to be I don't know, well receptive to it, or I'm not going to receive it too well, probably. But yeah, I do want to eventually try out Borderlands just for the sake of saying it's been tried. Bioshock Infinite and Bioshock 2. I paired these two games together because they are pretty much the same game to me. Uh, the Bioshock franchise I know nothing of. I think on 1 and 2, like you're like a giant mech suit guy or whatever, and there's like a little girl that's like following you. So like Pragmata, which is a game that's coming out soon, is kind of gives me those same vibes from Bioshock. But I know nothing about Bioshock as a series, but people say it's really good. It's goaded. So I definitely want to try it out, especially Infinite. People talk about Infinite all the time. So that's definitely on my gotta play this list. Bayonetta. Ah, I love Bayonetta. I love, love, love this franchise. So I played 1 and 2 now. So I played 2 at the end of last year. So I was like end of 2025. But I played Bayonetta 1 in the middle of 2025, so like in the summer. And Bayonetta 1, man, whew, it kicked my butt. At first, I was like, when I played DMC 1, I was like, okay, Hideki Kamiya, you're in your bag right now. I don't really know if like this is something I'm like obsessed with, but like this is pretty good. Bayonetta 1, I was like, this is really, really good. But I still wasn't like, this is like one of my favorite games of all time. But I was like, this is a really, really good game. Consider me a fan. And then I played Bayonetta 2 and I was like, yep, if you have like a constant string of hits, you are going to go into my I can recommend you to people type bag, right? So Bayonetta 1 is phenomenal action game, absolute banger. It's full of a lot of wackiness, some good action gameplay. I don't know, it's just good, man. I really don't know what else to say. I didn't want to turn this into like that segment into like a Bayonetta review, but like it's really, really good. I don't know what else to tell you. Banjo Kazooie, nuts and bolts. Banjo Kazooie is a gaming franchise or game because I haven't played 2 yet. But Banjo Kazooie, I love Banjo Kazooie. Even before I played Banjo Kazooie, I loved Banjo Kazooie, which sounds weird to say, but I just liked the vibes of those like N64 Rare games. Every single Rare N64 game, in my mind, is like it just kind of like activates the dopamine receptors. I'm like, ooh, ooh, I'm like, okay, let's go. So when Nuts and Bolts, when I found out it was a thing, because it was very similar to like Sly 4 almost in the sense where like it released like years later and I found out it existed. I watched gameplay and I was like, oh man, like I hope this thing is like I hope this thing is good. And I was like, oh, this does not look that good. Aside from like the very unappealing like art style, I just think the concept of like, all right, like you get to build like mechs and stuff and like use them, like it just very much gave off like, all right, buddy, this is like the seventh generation of gaming. If you are a platformer or you're something from like a way gone era, which feels like so like GameCube, like N64 generation, you need to incorporate elements that are gonna make you like be taken more seriously. And it kind of it I don't really think it stuck the landing here. I do want to eventually play the game so I can have some more concrete things to bring up, but man, oh man, Banjo Kazooie, nuts and bolts. Banjo, is it Banjo and Kazooie? Banjo Kazooie. Wait, Banjo and Kazooie? Ba- Hold on, actually, just give me 1 second. Okay, I just checked. This just Banjo Kazooie. Halo Wars. I don't have anything specifically to say about this game, so let me just actually pull out the other Halo games and we can chat it up about Halo in general. Halo 4, Halo 3, ODST, and Halo 3. Now, I already spoke a little bit about what the Halo franchise means to me in my last video. So, what I want to say is that the 360 generation is probably when, like, I guess, like a lot of the Halo hype for my generation like hit its peak. That's mostly because when the original Xbox came out, a lot of us were just born, or we weren't even born at that point. So the Halo franchise will forever be something that like has a soft spot in my heart, even though I've never really completed one of their games. It just more so is that thing where I look at Halo and I think about like, almost those like days where I was chatting it up with middle school friends. We were, playing some good Halo, eating pizza till like 2 a.m., uh, drinking way more pop than we should have. It's just that's just kind of what the franchise triggers for me. So yeah, I think I am excited to play ODST eventually because I have a friend, Luke, and he loves the Halo franchise, and I think that's his favorite game with one of the best soundtracks in gaming, in his words. So I've listened to a little bit of it, and it's pretty good. So, but that will do it for the Xbox 360 collection. Next time I'll be looking at the Xbox One. That collection is not nearly as big as my 360 collection, but I will say that it has a very similar quality of games there. So, looking forward to that. But without further ado, thank you guys so much, and I will catch y'all next time.